Hello, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services sales executives, for our video message of the week. All right, this week's message is entitled, Your Inner Voice. You know, our ability to effectively communicate is really tied, very much so, to how fulfilled and how happy we feel. Many times it's not how we are, but really how we feel. And today we're going to discuss communication, and we're going to do it in a way of talking about communication to ourselves via our inner voice. So let's get started. I have a question for you that I want you to think about, and I'm going to put on the screen. Does your inner voice help you to stay positive, productive, and on course to live a more fulfilled life, or does your inner voice tend to hinder or sabotage your path to happiness, success, and fulfillment? Now, that's a huge question, but it's so very important. And here's what I'd like to do. I want to share with you some facts about all our inner voices, and then of course I'm going to share with you some solutions that I think can help you in dealing with your inner voice, or let me say managing your inner voice, because we all have it. Okay? The key is to manage it. All right, let's get started. All right. One fact about your inner voice is that it will jump in and out of conversations anytime it wants. In fact, when the conversation is over, your inner voice can go on for hours, okay? Maybe a day, maybe weeks, continually flowing information to you. You have to be aware of this. You know, the inner voice doesn't care if there's even someone standing in front of you. It continues to roll. Fact number one. Next, our inner voice tends to be locked in to feelings, not so much facts. It's kind of the how we're feeling specifically at that moment. Our inner voice can kick in and really tend to start tying in and how we're feeling at that moment in time. Our inner voice can be easily affected by outside sources. You know, very easily pulls us into judgment. You know, we see something happening, or we're involved in something that's happening, and our inner voice tends to really be pulled into, and we then jump into judgment because our inner voice is coming into judgment. And last, but certainly not least, I want you to internalize that your inner voice has really no filter and rarely asks questions. Okay, just goes right into talking. Doesn't ask key questions, just go right into talking to you and throws that out without really doing its homework quite often. All right, so we have the facts of our inner voice. Very, very important. Now, how do we work with our inner voice as effectively as we possibly can? All right, so here are some solutions. First, I want you to embrace the facts about your inner voice that I shared with you. Embrace it. Don't fight it. Okay? Don't try and dispel it. Just understand, you know what? Okay, my inner voice works this way. Once you internalize it, we can work with it. Secondly, I want you to manage it. I want you to commit to managing it. There's two ways this works. You manage your inner voice, or it manages you. There is no in between. And we want to be in a situation and say, we know it's going to exist. It's always going to be there. But how are we going to effectively manage it? Well, the first thing is commit to doing it. So I want you in control of that inner voice, not that inner voice in control of you. And next, I want you to ask yourself a huge question. As your inner voice kicks in and out, I want you to ask yourself, how is my inner voice serving me? I guess a great question in any thought process is this thought process serving me well? I want you to think about that. As your inner voice continues to talk to you and have conversation with you, I want you to ask, is it serving me well? Because see, if it's not serving you in a way that's helping you moving towards happiness, success, and a more fulfilled life, then something's got to change. All right, that's what our inner voice is supposed to do for us. Supposed to lead us down the path we want to be, not get us stuck in a path we really should not be at that moment in time. And last but certainly not least, when dealing with your inner voice, I want you to go in search of people with an alternative opinion to yours. See, normally we end up going and we end up hanging around the people to get support in what we're thinking. And we get into that session of, yeah, you know what, that's true, and guess what else, and guess what else. Instead of that, I want you to go in search of someone who has the alternative opinion of yours. Maybe it's how to specifically invest. Maybe it's something that you're dealing with. Maybe it's outside of business. Whatever it is, I want you to go in search of someone who can give you an opposite view. Because when you have that opposite view, and these additional comments or questions come that isn't what your inner voice is telling you, it's opposite of what your inner voice is telling you, what a great opportunity for you to evaluate and saying, you know what? Maybe my thought process needs to be tweaked. Maybe I'm not taking everything into consideration. All right? Your inner voice is going to be there forever, for all of us. Let's make sure we're in command of it. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.